I'll be totally honest, before today, SCPs were like a legend for me. This weird interweb mystery filled with stories of curious morbidity. Well, good news for all of us, I did a little deep dive today, and I have the media to prove it. Question for you: what do you think is the scariest SCP creature? Let me know in the comments and let's unearth some nightmares together. Alrighty everybody, so we're kicking off today with a creature known as Shy Guy, or numerically and technically speaking, SCP-096. Popular YouTube channel Aldo's World TV was out filming back in April of 2021 and was trying to capture footage of an abandoned building set for demolition when he saw what is believed to be the Shy Guy SCP and caught it on camera. So we have that footage now, so I'll let it play and then I'll go into detail about Shy Guy.
A bit lower. Oh my god, did you guys just see that?
I know I jumped in my chair when I saw Shy Guy pop up around that corner. Like, I can't even imagine what I'd do if I was on the ground when he appeared. If you're a little unaware, he is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height, or almost 8 feet tall. Yeah, sure, he has very little muscle mass, but since his arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of his body, roughly 1.5 meters long, that's still super duper dangerous. His skin doesn't seem to really have that much pigmentation, if any at all. He also doesn't have any body hair, which, I wish. One little fun thing, his jaw can open to 4 times the norm of an average human, while other facial features remain similar to that of the regular old folks. But with a little exception, the eyes. They're also without pigment. Now, if you're wondering how the eyesight is without that, nobody's really quite sure if Shy Guy can see like a normal creature, and he doesn't show any signs of high brain function. Now, typically, he's pretty docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating that he's spending most of his time just sort of pacing. However, if you look at his face, whether it be directly, via video recording, even a photograph, you're gonna distress him. Think of it like considerable emotional distress. He's gonna cover his face with his hands, begin screaming, crying, babbling incoherently, and now think about 1 to 2 minutes after that, he's gonna start running to whoever viewed his face. And how fast? Well, documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers and up, the details which are classified, and at this point, no known material or method can impede him. What's his goal? Oh, it's simple, he just wants to kill you. 100% of the cases have left no traces of the victim if they're within running distance. So Shy Guy's gonna then sit down after he does his killing, and then regain his composure, becoming docile, make his way back to his natural habitat after he's committed a killing. Due to the possibility of a mass chain reaction, including breach of Foundation secrecy and large civilian loss of life, there's people that are trying to retrieve it, and that's considered a high priority. Now, a doctor whose name has been redacted petitioned for immediate termination of Shy Guy, and while that order was approved, capture of the SCP to that point hasn't been successful. So just keep an eye out, and if you see it, get in a car, bolt! Next up, SCP-682, or more commonly known as Hard to Destroy Reptile. For my sake, I'll refer to it as Reptile because you do not need to sit through me tripping over my tongue. I do that enough as it is. As proof today, we have some photos that I found in a video from Life's Biggest Questions, and if I ever saw something that crazy on a beach, I don't think I'd ever want to go near the water ever again. So Reptile is a large, vaguely reptilian-like creature of unknown origin. It appears to be extremely intelligent. It was observed to engage in complex communication with SCP-079 during their limited time of exposure. Reptile also appears to have a hatred of all life, which has been expressed in several interviews during containment. So not exactly the cute and cuddly type. Got it. Reptile has always been observed to have extremely high strength, speed, and reflexes, even though exact levels vary with its form. Their physical body grows and changes very quickly. Like, we're talking growing or decreasing in size as it consumes or sheds material. Yeah. This creature gains energy from anything it ingests. We're talking organic or inorganic. Digestion seems to be aided by a set of filtering gills inside of their nostrils, which are able to remove usable matter from any liquid solution, enabling it to constantly regenerate from the acid it is contained in. The creature's regenerative capabilities and resilience are staggering. Like, this thing's been seen moving and speaking, with its body 87% destroyed or rotted. Like, that's just insane! In case of a containment breach, so if this little thing gets out, the creature is to be tracked and recaptured by all available mobile task forces, and no teams with fewer than 7 members are cleared to engage it for safety. Great, it takes 7 guys to take this thing down. According to official documentation, the creature must be destroyed ASAP, kinda like Shy Guy. Now at this time, nobody really knows how to actually destroy it. All they can do is cause it massive physical damage. The recommendations are that Reptile should be kept in a 5 meters, 5 meters, 5 meters chamber with 25 centimeter reinforced acid resistant steel plate lining all inside the surfaces. Why does it need the acid resistant? Well, the chamber should be filled with hydrochloric acid until the creature is submerged and incapacitated. And if it starts moving, speaking, or breaching containment, well, then we'll add more acid and see what happens. If you're handling it, you're not allowed to talk to it because then it's going to go into a state of rage, which is not fun. So if you try to communicate with it, game over. Now, due to its frequent attempts at containment breach, difficulty of containment in incapacitation, and high threat of, well, a lot of things, it's being held in a redacted location I don't know where, but I know they're trying to keep all the humans away from it for safety, so fingers crossed I never go there. It's probably in Australia. With that in mind, how about we move on to SCP-610, or the Flesh That Hates, who shall be dubbed Flesh today. You know the drill by now. We have some footage from Forlorn Foundry that'll let you watch first, so that you can get a visual of this mess before I dive in. Yeah, that's gonna be seared into my brain forever. I swear. The things I put myself through for all of you. I love it, but nah. So initial reports of this creature came directly from the Russian government through undisclosable channels and consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region, and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government dispatched agent all failed to report in within a 72-hour period. Great. That's not terrifying at all. So after all that, they were like, okay, let's send a little military contingent to see what can happen. And they were like, yeah, we're getting out of here. So then it's like, oh great, it got worse. So this creature appears to be a contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms including like rashes, itching, increased skin sensitivity, the basics. But then after 3 hours, the disease is gonna cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue, and that's gonna form in the chest and arm areas and then spread to the legs and the back within like an hour, and it's gonna completely consume the victim within 5 hours. So you're donezo. Exposure to higher temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded in occurring in as little as 5 minutes. So if you're in Antarctica, game over for you. After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which time they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move of its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Now, normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be kind of random. Subjects observed in the stage of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs. We're talking like extra arms, extra legs. Your head's gonna be misshapen, maybe it might elongate, might widen out. After that, parts of the subject might split open, from which additional branches of flesh will grow. The duration of this stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable, where then it roots itself. So like the fleshy growth on the victim is gonna spread itself across all surrounding objects and just consume them. Now, these objects don't spread the infection like living creatures do, but the effect of prolonged contact with these objects is, well, not ideal. It's kind of assumed that this behavior is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Now, people have tried to observe this. It's kind of impossible. If you're infected past the scar tissue phase, you're gonna like want to infect everybody else, and then everything's gonna spread. We know what happens then. And it has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, well, you're gonna make a beeline. And if the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Observation of infected settlements has been established using drone technology for like safety. Now, the data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread this awfulness, has resulted in the classification that it currently has, which is can't say. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. Of concern are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into these areas is, well, kind of dicey. Look, burned it all. That's my opinion. Sorry folks, I'm just trying my darndest not to jump out of my own skin right now. We're moving on to SCP-087, also -1, before I start running on pure instinct. Also known as the Stairwell, it's a virtually infinite staircase descending into darkness, which is inhabited by SCP-087-1, which is an entity inducing terror in those who encounter it. Now, the footage we have for this thing is thanks to the brave YouTuber Martin MW. Seeing as I've had an irrational fear of darkness and what lurks at the bottom of dark staircases since I was yay high, this sadly isn't helping with the whole nightmares thing. So according to my sources, the stairs ascend on a 38-degree angle for 13 steps before reaching a semicircular platform of approximately 3 meters in diameter. Descent direction rotates 180 degrees at each platform, and the design of this thing limits subjects to a visual range of approximately 1.5 lights. A light source is required for any subjects exploring this nightmare, since there's no lighting fixtures or windows. But here's the kicker: lighting sources brighter than 75 watts are ineffective, since this abomination seems to absorb excess light. Subject reports and audio recordings confirm the distress noises from what is presumed to be a young human, and the source of the distress calls is estimated to be located around 200 meters below the initial platform. Some people have tried. They're like, oh, maybe there's somebody down there. Well, any attempts to descend the staircase have failed to bring subjects closer to the source. The depth of descent calculated from Exploration 4, the longest exploration, is shown to be far beyond both the possible structure of both the building and geological surroundings. So at this time, it's unknown if this thing has an endpoint. Like, don't look at me, I'm not going near that thing, nope. Alrighty everybody, we're gonna end today with SCP-173, otherwise known as the sculpture. Now its origin is currently unknown, but what we do know is that it's constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. The thing is animate and extremely hostile, and the object cannot move well within a direct line of sight. Personnel assigned to enter the container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Now object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or by hands around the neck. So in the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. The footage we have today is what has happened before when cleaning personnel did not follow the safety guidelines. Folks have reported sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when nobody is present inside, which is apparently considered normal, and the reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and red heart fluids. And once again, the origin of these materials? Unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis, and to the shock and surprise of nobody, there tends to be a lot of turnover in cleaning staff. And before my nightmares become reality, everybody, that's it from me. I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly, and if you were horrified by my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more SCP commentary from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.